So that's that. That's lunar. Now for planetary. Planetary is different just because it's a little bit easier in my opinion. So we'll be using, who's this file? This is from this morning. Probably some of my best seeing that I ever had in my 3 years of planetary imaging. I think it's gonna be 4 years now. See if Autostackert doesn't crash. Come on now, there we go. Okay, so GB or GB. Now, instead of using surface, we're imaging a planet, so planet. Again, you could stack 40, 60, 80. We'll do that actually. Let's see. We'll do 40, 60. Oh, wrong number. 60, 80, and we'll do 99. No, we'll do 90. Okay. You can also select the number of frames to stack per channel. We'll call these channels. So per channel 40, you will stack 3,000 frames. For this one, you'll stack 2,000 frames. Not necessarily, because doesn't match up with the percentages. But yeah, you could select what exact amounts to stack. Hit analyze. Let it analyze the data real quick. Okay, so here, now you can see, let's zoom this a little bit. Should line the frames up. Yep, 5,000 frames. This is the worst, and it gets better over here. So we'll start with 48. The alignment points at 48, so that's 555 alignment points. Most people, like Damien Peach, I've heard Christopher Go say 10 to 20 alignment points is all you really need, but detail can also vary based on the size of the alignment points. Also, some people do not close to edge. Most people don't like that just because it adds rind. You don't really want that. But let's stack this. So it's going to do 40, 60, 80, 90. We will process them all with the same wavelets. Not the same, but you never want to use lunar wavelets for planetary. You want to specify wavelets to the individual image, not object, the individual image. If you specify it to the object, you won't be able to find the right amount of the right wavelets for that image for that night. Each night has different seeing conditions, different transparency, different collimation. There's too many variables for you to pick one set of wavelets and stick with it. So you're going to want to always adapt your wavelets to the image and to the night. As you can see with planetary, everything moves a lot faster since you're not stacking, you're not focusing on a surface, you're focusing on like in quotes, smaller object, just because you're not focusing on a full frame image, it's just a piece. So here we go, we're doing recombination, and it's stacking again for the next set, and then it's going to stack again for the next set, etc. Okay, so we just finished stacking everything. We did 40, 60, 80, 90. Let's go ahead, open our stacks. So we have 1 and 40, 40, 60, 80, 90. Check 40 first. I don't do any level adjustment. Actually, we will. I do my level adjustments actually after I'm done with the wavelets. So wavelets, we'll check our lunar ones on them just to show an example. Seems to work pretty decently. Anything I would change? Maybe less denoise, slightly bigger pixel. Denoise again. Okay, that seems to be good. I don't completely denoise it because whenever you derotate the images, it'll be denoised by itself. But since these are just singles, I'll go ahead and just denoise it maybe 1 or 2 more times. You could adjust these sliders a little bit more to bring out more contrast and stuff like that. But I try to keep mine like that. Pretty soft. Not too much. I don't want it to look cartoony. Like whenever you go over here like this, that just looks silly in my opinion. It's not how planets look. So a little more gentle. Like this. That's what I'm happy with. Do all. Okay. Do your orientation however you want it. You can do arbitrary angles like this, spin it around, but I just prefer just use one of the presets already. You can do finer rotations in Photoshop. Levels, as you can see, it kind of brings out the highlights a little bit too much for my liking. So I'll go ahead and drop it down just a little bit. You see there's still some noise. Hit it with a noise sharp. Again, about go click by click. Click as in one stop, two stop, three stop. So I call these clicks. 1, 2, 3. 3 probably looks the best. We'll go down to 2. There's still a little bit of noise, so we'll keep it at 2. If you denoise too heavy, you'll get claimed that you're using AI. So, leave a little bit of grain in there. White balance, go ahead, full image, turn to 100, okay. Align RGB. This will just correct some of the minor fringing that you might not even be able to see. And as you can see, it did some corrections. Tuck the colors a little bit better. You can see right here, it's clear when it used to be a little bit blue. And now it's, maybe it wasn't even any change actually. Okay, so this is 40, I believe. We'll go ahead and save this so we can compare. We're going to save this to YouTube, make a new folder. We'll save this as 40%. Okay, now let's check our other files. So we have 40. Now we'll do 60. Same thing. Look at that. A lot smoother with less. I probably use less denoise. Yeah, see? Less denoise is needed because we have more frames. Go up one more. Do all. Okay. Do the rotation. Levels. Turn it down just a little bit. White balance. 100. Line RGB. Like that. Okay, so this one's 60. %. Okay. This next one I'll do a little bit slower, just in case I need to see it better. Okay, again, open it up, wavelets, select it, play with the wavelets to your personal liking. You could adjust these for pixel size again, strength. You could also turn off strength, but it just doesn't sharpen it. You also have deconvolution here, which does sharpen a little bit, but it's I don't use it often or at all. Okay, do all, rotate, levels, white balance, 100%, align RGB. There we go. Now I'll save this as 80%. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and open up those files. We're gonna have them all in Photoshop just to do a comparison. Okay, so we'll start with 40. Let's organize these actually. 40, 60, 80, 90. So 40, so it's green. See there? 60, 80, 90. Minimal difference. I'm going to show you how I process them in Photoshop. We'll use the 60% stack. Again, this is my personal preference, but these are some tips that I've learned from just doing it for 3 years. Okay, let's see. So, starting with this, pretty clean image overall. A little bit of noise, like I said. Go ahead, reduce noise. Look at it on the edge. Without noise reduction, without. You see a little bit of color noise still left there. IO looks okay. Reduce the color noise by a little bit more. Less. We don't want to desaturate it. You'd always add back saturation though. This is just taking out the color noise. Okay. Now, you do your orientation right now if you would like. Do south pole up, do whatever you want to do. We can do that. It's a little bit interesting. There we go. Fit screen, filter, camera raw. Okay. The histogram is basically set where it needs to be, so we don't need to be brightening it or dimming it. Maybe a little bit. Highlights down just a small amount. This centerpiece tends to be blown out pretty often, so I just turn it down a slight amount, because without it, you lose the tiny amount of detail that is there, but again, personal preference. Let's see, shadows. I don't think we really need to do anything here, unless you want to reveal these ringing. So just leave that at 0. Whites, this is just my definition of whites. It brightens the entire field relatively evenly, like pretty even, compared to highlights, which mostly focuses on, you see how it's center, or this area? Whites seems to brighten most of the image pretty evenly. Okay. See some ringing right here. Blacks, just down a little bit for a small amount of contrast. You can also use, contrast. Texture, you have to be very careful with texture in order to not introduce artifacts. Try to keep it towards under 10. So, do that amount's fine. Saturation, go ahead and boost the colors, not too much. There we go. I think 20 should be fine. Detail, you could do your small amounts of finer noise reduction right here. Looks a little bit better. We'll hit it with a despeckle after this. Optics, just in case there's any fringe. I don't see any fringe that we need to defringe. So we're fine. Colors look pretty much balanced. Clarity and dehaze, I don't really play with these. I feel like that's just possible artifacts. Better not to risk it. So from here, fit screen, noise, despeckle, and that just adds a nice little buffing coat over it. Buffing with a B. Okay, there we go. And that's basically the final image. Whenever I export like this by setting my bigger number, which is usually my width, to 2048, my bad. Enter. And that just makes it a nice size for Instagram. And then I save it to a folder that's called email, save, and I will go ahead and email it to myself. So it keeps as much of the detail as it can. I used to save it, send it to myself on Instagram over DMs, like from laptop to phone, but that compressed a lot, and I was silly for doing that, but now I know a better way. Thank you, Kyle, KVZ Astrophotography, for teaching me this email technique to keep detail. See, nice IO. southern detail. The equatorial region is brighter. Very interesting. This is a single stack, as I'm sure y'all are aware. You were there when I processed it. But yeah, that's basically my Photoshop workflow.